The Russian-Ukrainian war has changed the perception of war as such. With each passing day, fewer frontal clashes can be seen here, as drones, and artillery have taken the lead in the confrontation. It is precisely these two types of weaponry that can significantly alter the outcome of a battle. At the beginning of the full-scale war, Ukraine could boast neither of these. But now, everything has changed. When it comes to self-propelled artillery systems, the wheeled versions are particularly valued. Although the tracked ones have better off-road capability, the wheeled SPGs are faster and more maneuverable. We already have wheeled howitzers of all kinds in our arsenal. The French Caesar, the old Czechoslovak Dana and its new version, the Slovak Zuzana, as well as the Ukrainian Bodana, which we will return to later. All of them instill fear in the occupiers. And now, one of the best self-propelled artillery systems in the world has joined this list. The Swedish 150mm SPG, Archer, which translates to Archer. The first 8 of them have already been delivered to Ukraine. How did the Swedish self-propelled gun win the hearts of the Ukrainian armed forces soldiers? And how might Russia respond to this Western artillery system? Interested? Then don't miss it. The Archer project began back in the 1990s. The goal was to create a new artillery system designed for the conditions and challenges of Sweden and Norway. However, it was not possible to quickly create the SPG. Only in 2005-2006 were tests conducted on the first prototype. The Archer was commissioned in 2013. However, the wait was worth it. This howitzer is rightfully considered one of the best. All thanks to the automation and digitalization, which are at the highest level in the Archer. The crew touches the ammunition only once, during the loading of the ammunition, and then it's up to the Archer. The speed of the Swedish self-propelled artillery is also impressive. When the Archer arrives at the position, it takes less than 30 seconds to get into combat position and fire a shot. The rate of fire for the Archer is 8 to 9 rounds per minute. That means it takes no more than 3 minutes to fire the entire ammunition load of 21 rounds. After engaging enemy positions, the self-propelled artillery needs another 30 seconds to pack up and leave. Once again, think about it. Less than 5 minutes to deploy. Fire all the rounds, pack up, and leave. In addition, each self-propelled artillery unit is accompanied by a reloading vehicle. 8 minutes, and the howitzer is ready to destroy the enemy again, and it certainly has the means to do so. This self-propelled artillery system can fire different types of shells at various ranges. Standard shells can destroy the enemy at a distance of up to 30 kilometers. If the ammunition is rocket-assisted, the Archer can hit a target at a distance of 40 kilometers. And in the case of the self-propelled artillery unit equipped with high-precision Excalibur shells that are available in Ukraine, the range and effectiveness of the artillery system reaches 60 kilometers. Additionally, the Archer has a high level of mobility, which is extremely important in the context of the Russian-Ukrainian war. The developers assure that the wheeled chassis can move through snow up to 1 meter deep. The developers also considered armor for the self-propelled artillery unit. The engine and crew are protected by armor that shields against bullets, and shrapnel. Automation, loading speed, and range are some of the most important attributes of self-propelled artillery systems. These are the features that the Archer possesses, and which the new Russian self-propelled artillery unit Malva, often contrasted by Kremlin propaganda with the Swedish development, cannot boast about. This is true in almost every aspect. Let's start from the bottom with the chassis. The Malva is mounted on the bias 60127 Voshchina chassis, and this way the Russian self-propelled artillery unit lost grip-wise in the arms race.
Base Bois 6610 027 of the Voshchina project. It was launched under secrecy in the early 70s. The engine for the truck, developed in Yaroslavl by order from Bryansk, was submitted for bench testing in 1973. The final technical specification for the UKR on the tractor of the Voshchina project number 1593 was signed on June 2nd, 1993, 30 years ago. A howitzer, 40 years old, is installed on a truck that is at least 19 years old. After all, this is the Mistas model of '83.
The Russians made a new self-propelled artillery unit. That's true. It's just that the only new thing about it is the name. Malva is assembled almost entirely from old components, and all the parameters remain at the level of current Russian technology, which means it's far behind compared to Western technology. The developers claim that the rate of fire for the Malva is 7 rounds per minute. The deployment speed is also an important factor here. For the Luchnik, as we remember, it's about 30 seconds. For the Malva, it's a secret of the Russian army. As one might guess, such information is kept under wraps to avoid embarrassment compared to overseas counterparts. Could range at least be the strong point of the Russian howitzer? No, the occupiers have failed here as well. While the Archer can fire at 40 and 60 kilometers, the Malva remains at the same level as the old Russian-tracked self-propelled gun Mista-S, which, by the way, Russian military constantly complain about. The range of the new Russian howitzer is 24 kilometers, slightly more at 29 kilometers if the self-propelled gun uses actively reactive shells. And there's also automated control during reloading. While the Archer's reloading is done without human intervention thanks to a reloading machine, it seems that with the Malva, this task is handled directly by the military, which significantly reduces the firing rate of the Russian development.
Fire.
Many Russians might wonder, did Ukraine really do it better? And indeed it is true. Not yet an Archer, but in many ways better than the Malva. The Ukrainian self-propelled artillery Bodana won the hearts of Ukrainian defenders and experts during the liberation of Snake Island. However, after the victorious expulsion of the occupiers, the Bodana became even better. Now Ukrainian defenders are working with Bodana 2.0. It is undergoing its trials on the battlefield, and Ukrainian defenders are extremely satisfied with the howitzer.
We mostly work with high explosive fragmentation shells, but when we were given cluster munitions, we used those as well. And the accuracy, whether with one or the other, is 90% of all our work, hitting the target. We hit ammunition depots, fuel and lubricants depots, and personnel. It's impossible to count how many shots have been fired, how many enemies have fallen by our hands.
It has become more comfortable and received a more advanced computer and increased maneuverability. One of the most striking differences from the Russian howitzer is the range. Bodana can fire at a distance of 42 kilometers. This means it outshoots most of the Russian self-propelled artillery. The Ukrainian self-propelled artillery cannot yet boast of numbers. However, a few months ago, Bodana was officially adopted by the armed forces of Ukraine. This means that the project will continue to develop. Several Ukrainian howitzers operating on the front now have a shell loader, which will significantly speed up the work of the self-propelled artillery. The developers are also experimenting with the chassis. All this gives hope that over time, Bodana might catch up with the Archer, while the Russian Malva will remain far behind. In general, like most Russian no-analogs developments, which are only good at burning. And we will tell you what kind of weaponry turns the Russian no-analogs into scrap metal. So subscribe to our channel to not miss new episodes of Arsenal.